And we are live, HowShadeed. So, welcome to this broadcast. My name is Monica Bosnov, and with me today I have my friend HowShadeed. Welcome, HowShadeed. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, Monica. It's great to be here and look forward to sharing some great information
Mhm.
with your audience.
Yeah. So, tell me a little bit about you and what you do.
Okay, I am a business advisor. How I help businesses grow is through the magic of monetizing expertise online. So I lead a team of professionals who can take any idea, any service based expertise, and begin to develop it. And so once we develop it and create the mentorship, accountability, and community around the idea or signature program, then we partner with agencies, universities, and corporations for two specific reasons. One is to help our clients to increase their credibility. The other is to create recurring revenue that stabilizes any service-based business.
So, that is basically why you say things like why you should stop chasing clients and start enrolling students, because that's a really long-term strategy, right?
Well, when we talk about any service-based business, we have a challenge that we all face. And so that is time for money exchange. And so when we talk about the value of students in this day and age, at the time of our conversation, there are more people accessing e learning in greater numbers than ever before. We also live in an era of the great resignation where up to 5 million people are leaving their jobs in search of the career they love or the lifestyle that they want to lead. And so they're looking into courses, into programs in greater numbers. And as a expert in your field, you should create an educational center within your business and start enrolling students because clients during this day and time are unpredictable. And so more students, less clients. And in this conversation, we can go into several reasons why.
Mhm. Wonderful. So, for business owners who are beginners, how does this help them with a recurring revenue, and how does it help service-based businesses?
Okay, so when we talk about recurring revenue, so if you're a service based business, meaning you're an expert, you exchange knowledge or a signature solution in exchange for a payment at each start of the month. So at October 1st, every service based business started at zero. So they had to find clients, enroll clients, follow up with clients in order to pay the bills each month. Now, when you have recurring revenue or you have subscription payments, which is a payment model where you provide an ongoing service that automatically charges your clients, everyone who has been to a health club or gym has paid a recurring uh, payment, or anyone who is subscribed to Netflix or Amazon Prime has also paid a subscription payment. So, when in terms of our businesses, if you have a service or a community that you grant access to, then what happens at the beginning of the month is you're starting out with positive cash flow, which stabilizes your business. And there's a few things that happen, Monica. You're
Mhm.
able to pick and choose which clients you actually have to work with. So this project appeals to me. So I will take on this project versus I have to take on this project because I have to pay the bills. And when you start to have that freedom, you start to increase your amount of students through recurring revenue. That is when you find your freedom formula and unlock the lifestyle that you dream of living.
So, this has to do with avoiding the money trap, right?
Yes, the time for money trap. So each service based business professional has the equation that we all must solve, which is how do I separate my personal time from my income generated? And so That is the formula we all must solve. And if you don't find a way to earn money while you are away from your work, then two things are going to happen. You're going to work until you're physically unable or your natural life expires. So at some point in your service-based business life, you're going to have to figure out how you can package your knowledge in order to set up recurring payments that allow you to separate your income from your time. We all must exchange something in exchange for money. And the worst thing you can exchange is your own personal time.
Yeah, so that creates freedom. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is why you're in the line of business that you are today, because something kind of catapulted you in that direction around licensing. And I know you have some horror stories. So would you like to share them?
Well, I have a relative. I have an uncle, and he had an invention called the foot smooth. Now, the foot smooth was designed for people who are elderly or just basically have a disability where they cannot clean under their own feet. So, within any bathtub, its tiles that exist is actually shaped like a foot. And so you rub your feet while you're in the shower and it cleans off, let's say, follicles and skin and just helps to exfoliate your feet. This invention was created in the 90s, 1990s. And so years he went through the process of trying to obtain funding and patents. And finally, he went on to other projects. One day, I happened to be browsing Facebook and I saw an ad for a product that was so similar to the Foot Smooth that I instantly felt sick. I said, wait a minute, that is the Foot Smooth. And so at some point in the process, my uncle, with the best intentions in mind, he went to, let's say, a company to either obtain funding or advice or guidance on a patent. And in submitting his proposal, they borrowed certain elements from that proposal and turned it around into a product which is selling on the market. So that set forth a crusade or just a strong belief in protecting your inventions, your ideas, your expertise. And that is the reason why I continue down this path.
Hmm. So then you started doing this whole licensing thing for your own stuff, because I know you are really great at creating systems.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Because you've told me some stories from how it began, right? But what were some of your early wins when it comes to making this a focus?
Well, the story goes I was employed as a consultant at a company in about 2007. And so this company had a contract with the Department of Justice in the US, so Washington, D.C. And so they had a project where they were installing a system for Microsoft Office management. So, software system for Microsoft Office. I worked with a gentleman who we answered a simple question that ended up being very successful for the company, which was who is going to train the people on the new system? And so the Department of Justice didn't consider that question. And so we set forth to create a training package that we ultimately sold to the Department of Justice that led to a multi-million dollar contract extension. So instead, in most cases, at a company, the leader will take the credit and the people who do the work will just continue on and do other projects. But the leader of the company saw something within me, and so she came to me and said, well, I want you to develop this further. And so we started to create training packages for the other contracts within the company. And then we started to develop training packages for other people's or other companies' projects. So we would approach or pitch companies and say, well, you're installing Microsoft Office, for example, at the University of DC, District of Columbia. And we have the training package so that your information workers will be smarter and more efficient as a result. Why don't we partner up and let's win this contract together? And guess what? We did many, many, many times. And so that educated me on the value of licensing content and using content to create partnerships and huge multi-million dollar wins for companies.
Yeah, love that. So when you try to, or when you explain this concept to entrepreneurs, what are the biggest misunderstandings and misconceptions that you see that they have around their content and the things that they deliver and offer?
Great question. Okay, Monica. So the biggest question or the biggest challenge that entrepreneurs face when they are introduced to the world of content licensing is the value of their own content. So if we talk about mindset,
Mhm.
and the pricing in itself is based on a person's opinion of their own worth to the marketplace. And so when I explain to someone that their idea, their signature program, or their methodology would be worth five figures in US dollars, or six figures, or even seven figures, I have to compete with their opinion of
Mm.
what they've created. And in most cases, it's based on the fact that it didn't take them as much time to create it because they know it, and they're not focusing on what the value is in the mind of the target audience. And so the mindset is oftentimes the biggest challenge that I find in working with uh, entrepreneur audiences on content licensing and actually taking their content and partnering with a larger entity.
Yeah, I see this all the time as well. And there are so many pieces to this because I see that, first of all, it's so easy to think that what is easy to me is something that I shouldn't charge that much for, right? When it's actually the opposite. Because what's easy to me is the stuff that's in my zone of genius. And that's really hard for so many people, right? Like, if I were to charge for what was hard for me to do, I would go into accounting because that's
Yes.
really hard for me, right?
Hmm.
Because it's so way out of uh, my zone of genius and what I do well. Like numbers, I find numbers. I can learn numbers. I can work with numbers, but I have to focus really hard.
Yes.
While as which is kind of funny because I work with money blocks. So I work with money, but I work with the inside game of money, which is really easy for me,
Hmm.
which is what I charge for.
Yes.
And we kind of turn that upside down. And I think maybe also it has to do with in the school system, we're also kind of valued for the effort, right? It's like if you work hard, then you're good. And so, yeah, well, you weren't top of your class, but you worked really hard.
Hmm.
And that can be a good thing in school, but it's kind of a horrible situation to build or like totally the wrong perspective to build your business on, right?
Hmm. I
So we
agree.
need, yeah, we need to value what we have, our gifts, and what we know how to do, because that is where we can bring home the bacon.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Uh, I see this all the time. It happens for so many people, right? We think, oh, it's so, and also we undervalue what we know.
Yes.
We think that I know that, so everyone else knows it.
Not the case. Not the case.
Not the case. And that has taken me a lot of time to really take that in, not just as a intellectual thought, but as a knowing on the inside that what I have is valuable.
Hmm.
And so I think there are so many people that would benefit from the work that you offer, because it would actually help them value themselves more as well, kind of as a side benefit, but then would also help them build their business, right?
Yes.
Yes. So, from a practical perspective, how does this whole thing work with the licensing? Because now this is way out of my, what I know. So please explain this.
In super practical terms, licensing is giving permission to an agency, university, corporation, or fellow entrepreneurial coaching institution or organization or nonprofit for a defined period of time based on content that you have ownership of. So, there's a few things that we need to clarify. You can license a course or you can license your personal time. I'll give you an example. If you, for example, have a money blocks course, which teaches people how to understand the inner game of money, and you are a speaker, meaning organizations can hire you for public speaking. When an organization contacts you and they say, Monica, I would like for you to deliver a 1 hour presentation at our business luncheon for entrepreneurs who struggle with the inner game of money. You can say, well, I could speak at your organization, but I have a 1 year program that takes entrepreneurs on a journey step by step. And now I will give you permission to this particular program as long as there's a minimum of 20 students who sign up. And if you want me to come in and deliver customized workshops, then we can schedule my Money Blocks workshop, which we're initially interested in each quarter, where I will teach up to 2 modules in a 1 hour session for your audience. So, what we've done is we've sold the program that we've packaged, and we're able to deliver public speaking in a way that isn't free or isn't undervalued. And so the organization gains value because they have ongoing support, and the entrepreneurs who are within that organization gain value because now they have access to materials that can help them with their money blocks and mindset. So this is how you can position yourself as a speaker, for example, or a knowledge-based expert to leverage licensing in order to grow your business.
So, what I'm hearing now is that potentially, like, I could take my content, I could package it in one way for nonprofits,
Mhm.
another way for students,
Mhm.
and in a third way for maybe a big corporate organization.
Yes.
I could sell them at different price points.
Absolutely.
Hmm. Now you're talking.
Yeah. So let's say within the same organization, so let's say there's a nonprofit organization, a large nonprofit organization. You can say tier one is based on a minimum of 25 employees.
Mm.
Tier two pricing, which may include a monthly call in addition to the content, is for a minimum of 75 employees. Tier three, well, if you have a minimum of 200 employees which will also include a monthly call and monthly worksheets and quarterly strategy sessions. These are all three different tiers. So since you're the owner of the content, of the intellectual property, you can set up exclusive deals where if a university, for example, says, we want to have exclusive rights to this content, then you charge them a higher or premium fee because you cannot resell this content to someone else. But if you want to provide, let's say, customized content for a university or a corporation where their logo is involved or their branding is on the training, then that's a different fee. And
Mm.
so you can set up individual deals and individual licenses for as many organizations as your business can handle. And when you think about the difference between selling your content one on one, where one person goes to a sales page and purchase, versus having a minimum purchase order for an organization, from a financial standpoint, it completely changes the trajectory of a business. And what I also want you to realize for your audience is that when you partner with a corporation and you partner with a university, your credibility goes up because now you're the official money blocks or money mindset provider
Right.
for a specific university. That's
Mm.
powerful.
Okay, so I hope that, or I actually presume that there are a few of the viewers that are going by now. They're going ka-ching, 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 right? Because this is a whole different ball game than I don't know, Facebook ads or all of those things that people do on Facebook these days that are
Hmm.
like attention grabbing posts, and you go like, oh, please, right? This is a different way of thinking. It's on a very different level. So you do have a challenge,
Yes.
and it will be coming up in a few weeks.
Hmm.
And this will give you what you need. It's called Find Your Intellectual Property 5-Day Challenge.
Yes.
Can you, for the people that are getting really hungry right now, can you tell us more about the challenge, please?
Well, we are in the pre-launch phase of the Find Your Intellectual Property 5-day challenge. So each one of you have knowledge, each one of you have a gift, each one of you have experience. But what you haven't figured out is how to take that experience and package it and get your message out to the world and build credibility with the largest corporations and institutions on planet Earth. Luckily, on November 1st through 5th, you'll have a 5-day opportunity to learn with me as I take you step by step on how to identify your unique gifts, how to package it, and put a nice, pretty bow on it so that it is ready to be licensed to agencies, universities, and corporations through a series of guided exercises, video content, and community that is known as the Find Your Intellectual Property 5-day challenge.
So the link is not up yet because we're in the pre-launch right now.
Absolutely.
If they want to join, what do they do?
For those of you who have listened to this conversation with Monica and I, and you're interested in registering for the 5-day challenge, type IP in the comments, and a team member will follow up with you. And there will be some pre challenge homework that you can work on and really, for the first time, understand your true value in business and take yourself to the next level. So, once again, type IP in the comments, and a team member will follow up with you.
Wonderful. I just typed IP. So this is how it should look, what it should look like. And Shadeed's team will find that and they will contact you.
Yes.
Yes. This was so interesting. I'm like, my brain is kind of on overload right now.
The possibilities, the possibilities.
Possibilities, yeah, like, woo! This was really fascinating, and I know what you do, but every time I talk to you, the possibilities kind of open up even more.
Well, that's that. Thank you for that because it's so important to understand the value of what you do and what it actually means to the world. And with licensing, what people oftentimes are amazed is how many companies actually are looking for content that we create. And
Mhm.
so that's always the fun part is to bring the two worlds together, entrepreneurs, corporations, and universities, and help clients make tons of money together and get their message out to the world.
Yeah, yeah, because it's so obvious for me now because I've been thinking about this over the past few days. The fact that you do not know what you don't know, right?
Hmm.
And then it seems to me like there's a gap between all of the knowledge that we as entrepreneurs have and kind of the need out there in academia, in organizations, in nonprofits to get our knowledge. And we don't
Hmm.
even think of the possibility.
Exactly. So that's the mission of the challenge is to make content licensing accessible for all. And each person who goes through the challenge will have a deeper understanding of their role and mission on planet Earth.
Amazing. Thank you, Shadid.
Thank you.
Everyone, IP if you want to join, and Shadid's team will find you. Thank you so much.
Yes, we will find you.